Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is, though. Happy freaking Friday, y'all. Welcome back to day 4 of 5 this week on the 48 Laws of Power. We have made it all the way to Law 16, which is use absence to increase respect and honor. Something I did when I took a 4 month break from this stream and it didn't work. Let's say good morning to everybody. We got Mr. Frog in the chat. What's up, Cool Frog? Good vibes, good vibes, good vibe. RESPECT. I'll leave and you can figure out what it means to you. That's what usually absence means. Means get out of. I mean, stick around. Don't leave. Good morning, Ki Ninja. Ninja Ki. Uh, I'm out. We'll be listening. Well, be safe out there. If you're gonna be out there, be safe. Cheers in advance. Salud, prost, and domo, and all that shit. Good morning, Miss Divinita. How are you doing? How are you doing, Miss Divinita? I hope everyone is having a wonderful Friday morning slash afternoon slash evening slash wherever the hell you are. Don't get slashed. AFK but be the listening. Everybody be the AFK but listening. Ain't nobody wanna be the AFK or the at keyboard will participate in discussion. I hope y'all know that this is the 48 Laws of Power discussion series, the book by Robert Greene, and we're gonna read the laws, talk about the laws, do all the law things, except for we're not actually gonna go to court. This is not like divinities type of law where you can actually like argue it in front of a judge. This is the kind of law where oh well, Frog is at least here with me. That's fucking dope. Okay, so we're gonna learn a little something about putting some respect on my name. So without further ado, I mean, we're going to give a little more further ado. Uh, I like to give at least 5 minutes for people to show up, at least. Mr. Squabbles, see, this is what happens when you wait at least a few seconds. Mr. Squabbles shows up. I mean, I feel like I picked a time slot where everybody's usually busy doing their things. So maybe noon's not the best time, but I used to do Philosophy Fridays at this point in time, so that worked out at least back in the day. Hey, how come everyone's blue? Oh, because it's a wrench fest. It's a giant wrench fest. That's what happens. Do you want to be blue too, Mr. Squabbles? Will that make help you fit in? We could just blue you up real quick. Yeah, get blue out. How about that? Okay. So, anywho, Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. So, when I first read this, my initial instinct was absence makes the heart grow fonder. Because when you're with someone all the time, that can get really annoying and shit. So maybe this translates not just to like interpersonal relationships of a friendship or romantic nature, but mayhaps to the realm of power as well. So I'm kind of curious. I haven't read the law. I usually sometimes do, but this one I have no idea. Like, I mean, I've read them all before, but I usually read them like the day of so that I have them fresh in my mind. This one I do not. So let's start with the judgment. Let's talk about that for a second. Judgment. Too much circulation makes the price go down. The more you are seen and heard from, the more common you appear. If you are already established in a group, temporary withdrawal from it will make you more talked about, even more admired. You must learn when to leave. Create value through scarcity. Oh my goodness. I know someone who's quite good at this tactic. Of course, I know him. He's me. And have you all ever got that vibe where your crew is just like they're getting to that point where there's dissension or turmoil amongst the members of your friend group? It can get so annoying that one may find them on the outs or told a lie of because they spend too much time with someone. Correct. Like, that's why you can't be around all the same people all the fucking time because shit gets sideways. LOL. So a while back, we simply made Darth more popular. Well, I fucked on right on off, didn't I? Like, I used my absence to my advantage. I'm like, these people clearly don't want nothing to do with me. And we all knew that at the time. So I was like, okay, fuck off, all of you. Goodbye. I'm gonna go do my own thing, and I'll be around. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Because I could have made a scene about it. I could have made a lot more of it than I did. I did not because, well, if you don't want nothing to do with me, that's correct. I mean, that is the way to be. And if you do, that's also correct. Both things are correct. I have faith. Apparently, in this law, we have a little bit of a change up because it usually gives us a transgression or an observance. This one is going to give us both a transgression and observance. I'm going to assume in the same story. Like I said, I haven't read anything, but this transgression and observance is kind of a cool concept in my head. But yeah, a lot of times when shit's getting a little bit tumultuous especially in a group of more than a small handful of people, sometimes it's better to just see yourself out, especially if there's drama surrounding you. And when I pieced off, like all the drama was surrounding me, I was really confused about the nature of all of it. Like I knew bits and pieces, but I didn't have everything at first. It took me a while to get the whole story together. Once I did, I was like, oh, well, that's really stupid, and I ain't fucking with that. But that's just my personal story on that. If I ever disappear, look for me in Michigan. If you ever disappear and you disappear into Michigan, you're doing it wrong. Unless you go all the way past where I am, all the way up over the bridge, which is a very conspicuous route to take, and over by where Paul is, Michigan's not really a great place to hide. There's a lot of surveillance and a lot of people watching. And they'll be definitely looking for a Georgia boy who can't drive in the snow. Anywho, let's see about this transgression and observance of the law, shall we? Oh my. More French names. Okay, first, for the record, y'all, I've said this many times, I do not speak Surrender Monkey, which is what I consider the French language. So I'm going to butcher these names. I don't care. Sir Guillaume de Balouin was a troubadour who roamed the south of France in the Middle Ages, going from castle to castle. reciting poetry, and playing the perfect knight. At the castle of Javiac, he met and fell in love with a beautiful lady of the house. I wonder if that's like a lady of the night. Madame Guillaume de Javiac. So they have like the same name. He's Guillaume and she's Guillema. Oh my, they have the same name. He sang his songs, recited his poetry, played chess with her, and little by little she in turn fell in love with him. Guillaume had a friend, Sir Pierre de Barjac, who traveled with him and who was also received at the castle. And Pierre too fell in love with a lady in Javiac, the gracious but temperamental Viernetta. Then one day Pierre and Viernetta had a violent quarrel. The lady dismissed him, and he sought out his friend Guillaume to help heal the breach and get him back in her good graces. Guillaume was about to leave the castle for a while, but on his return, several weeks later, he worked his magic, and Pierre and the lady were reconciled. Pierre felt that his love had increased tenfold. There was no stronger love, in fact, than the love that follows reconciliation. There is no sex like the makeup sex, y'all. That's what he's trying to say. He is trying to say, what's a scarcity? It's a scary. Like it's like Chicago in potential Chinese battery plants. Last name first. I mean, oh, is it last name first in the French language? I don't speak Surrender Monkey, so they both got the same name basically. They already married. Oh, goody, camels again. I don't, I don't get it. But yeah, there's no love better than that makeup love, that makeup sex. The stronger and longer the disagreement, he told Guillaume, the sweeter the feeling that comes with peace and rapprochement. I mean, yeah. If you ever been away from someone that you really, really like and care about, and you ever been in like a real bad fight that keeps you apart for a significant period of time, that them first few that first little bit when you reignite, that's something else. It's very intense. It's very intense. I've been there. I've done that. As a troubadour, Sir Guillaume prided himself on experiencing all the joys and sorrows of love. On hearing his friends talk, he too wanted to know the bliss of reconciliation after a quarrel. He therefore feigned great anger with Lady Guillaume, stopped sending her love letters, and abruptly left the castle and stayed away, even during the festivals and hunts. This drove the young lady wild. She getting mad, yo. She gonna get mad. He's playing hard to get. Mom, he's playing hard to get. I mean, it is what it is. Guillaume sent messengers to Guillaume to find out what had happened, but he turned the messengers away. He thought all this would make her angry, forcing him to plead for reconciliation as Pierre had. However, his absence had the opposite effect. It made Guillaume love him all the more. Now the lady pursued her knight, sending messengers and love notes of her own. This was almost unheard of. A lady never pursued her troubadour. This remains true to this day. Women don't pursue men. It's such a rare occurrence that the exceptions only exist to prove the rule is a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like a lady never pursues her troubadour. I don't even know what that word means. I'm assuming it's like a young suitor type of guy, like a bachelor, if you will. Oh, cheers. I had my first quarrel with my girlfriend, and the next day, as she was going to the mall to buy me a present, and got ran over by a Mack truck and died. Morbid, squab. It's really morbid. But such is the life of a young pigeon. Watch out for that truck. Excuse me. LMAO squabba. Yeah, that's fucked up, dude. That's a fucked up story. I'm glad I'm not a baby pigeon. A lady never pursued her troubadour, and Guillaume did not like it. Guillaume's forwardness made him feel she had lost some of her dignity. Not only was he no longer sure of his plan, he was no longer sure of his lady. Finally, after several months of not hearing from Guillaume gave up. She sent him no more messengers, and he began to wonder. Perhaps she was angry. Perhaps the plan had worked after all. So much the better if she was. He would wait no more. It was time to reconcile. I got a really bad feeling I know where this is about to be going. Which is better, makeup sex or sex with the one you love after someone tries to break your family apart with lies and deception? Well, I'll tell you, being as I've never had a family to break up before, never been married, never had kids, never none of that, I don't fucking know. I got nothing to compare it to. No makeup sex for you, Mr. Frog. Or no makeup sex for Squaw Bob's ex who got hit by the Mack truck and died suddenly. I think I know where this is going. Uh, so he put on his best robe, decked the horse in its fanciest caparison, chose a magnificent helmet, and rode off to Javiac. On hearing that her beloved had returned, Guillerma rushed to see him, knelt before him, dropped her veil to kiss him, and begged forgiveness for whatever slight had caused his anger. Imagine his confusion and despair. His plan had failed abysmally. She was not angry. She had never been angry. She was only deeper in love. I feel like this is kind of a success. Like, this might not have been his goal of what he wanted, but. And he would never experience the joy of reconciliation after a quarrel. You should experience the joy of reconciliation after your stupidity. Yeah, being a jerk. Seeing her now, and still desperate to taste that joy, he decided to try one more time. He drove her away with harsh words and threatening gestures. She left, this time vowing never to see him again. I mean, yeah, being an asshole for no reason. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Dick, that's your lady. And granted, women aren't people, but still, if you're gonna pick one, at least try to treat her nicely. You could try. What's up, savages? What up, Castro? I'm grinding through the 48 laws of power. We're getting there. We're halfway to halfway. Son of a bitch, this book is long. The next morning, the troubadour regretted what he had done. He rode back to Javier, but the lady would not receive him, and ordered her servants to chase him away across the drawbridge and over the hill. Guillaume fled. Back in his chamber, he collapsed and started to cry. He made a terrible mistake. Yeah, yeah, did, dickhole. Guillaume, 'tis a silly name. It's French. Yeah, no, I mean, what are you gonna do? Morning, Gohagen. Welcome to the party. Mike G up in the house. Over the next year, unable to see his lady, he experienced the absence, the terrible absence that can only inflame love. He wrote one of his most beautiful poems, My Song Ascends for Mercy Praying, and he sent many letters to Guillermo explaining what he had done and begging forgiveness. After a great deal of this, Lady Guillermo, remembering his beautiful songs, his handsome figure, and his skills in dancing and falconry, found herself yearning to have him back. As penance for his cruelty, she ordered him to remove the nail from the little finger of his right hand and to send it to her along with a poem describing his miseries. He did as she asked. Finally, Guillaume de Baloan was able to taste the ultimate sensation, a reconciliation even surpassing that of his friend Pierre. That's the weirdest shit. Ah, a quarter of the way, a third of the way, we that semantics. That is though. Anyone else think that's weird? Like, I'm gonna intentionally pick a fight with the lady. I mean, specifically for the purpose of making up with her. That's. I mean, I know women do shit testing. I did not know men did shit testing. This one, he should have. She should have never took that dude back and cut off your ring finger and send it to me, Slim. Ah, she just wanted his pinky fingernail. Like, he had to like rip that some bitch off and send it to her. Like, oh my goodness. I mean, did he deserve it? Yeah, probably. Like, cut off the foreskin of your ween and send it to me. No. Yes, giant simp. Not very bright. This is why I don't respect France. Sorry if you're French or of French descent. No, I'm not really sorry. I don't respect you. But this is why their silly names and their stupid ways. I don't. I disavow. I can't relate. I'm not getting an implant under my codpiece. Good. That's probably for the best. Oh yeah, well, fuck yeah then. So yeah, that was a really dumb story, but that was my first initial thought on this was the absence makes the heart grow fonder. I skipped the camel and the floating sticks because I wanted to not disrupt the story, but we're going to come back to this now. The first man who saw a camel fled because I wanted Squaw Bob to make sure that he knew. What am I drinking? A little bourbon. Little wild turkey. Little nooner. French and French Canadian, but I'm American through and through. Pretty sure there's some German in there, probably some Mexican too. I just added that Mexican part, but it's probably a thing. The first man who saw a camel fled. The second ventured within distance. The third dared slip a halter round its head. Familiarity in this existence makes all things tame. For what may seem terrible or bizarre, when once our eyes have had time to acclimatize, that's not a word, yo, becomes quite commonplace. Since I'm on this theme, I've heard of sentinels posted by the shore who, spotting something far away afloat, couldn't resist the shout, "A sail! A sail! A mighty man of war!" 5 minutes later, it's a packet boat, and then a skiff, and then a bale, and finally some sticks bobbing about. I knew plenty such to whom this story applies. People whom distance magnifies, who close to don't amount to much. Selected fables of Jean de La Fontaine. I just wanted to read that so Squab Bob didn't think we was just disrespecting his different his camels that he saw. He saw camels and he didn't want them. Uh, Friday open mic night about to be lit. I guess is it because I'm drinking wild turkey at noon and a half? Because assuming that I'm still awake by the time open mic night, that maybe. But you start drinking this early, you got to pace yourself really good. Or you're gonna pass out. But anyway, I just wanted to share the story about the camel because there's nothing to be afraid of if you just get used to it. I don't know what the typo here is. There's a lot of I's and M. Rosan cock. That's what this says. Some of these like the the PDF is weird. Sometimes we get really bad typos that don't make any sense. But we'll read the italicized words here. I don't know what the actual title is. It just says cock. While serving under the Duke I of Lu, Tian Zhao, resenting his obscure position, said to his master, "I am going to wander far away like a snow goose." "What do you mean by that?" inquired the Duke. "Do you see the cock?" said Tian Zhao in reply. "Its crest is a symbol of civility. Its powerful talons suggest strength. Its daring to fight any enemy denotes courage. Its instinct to invite others whenever food is obtained shows benevolence. And last but not least, its punctuality in keeping the time through the night gives us an example of veracity. In spite, however, of these five virtues, the cock is daily killed to fill a dish on your table. Why? The reason is that it is found within our reach. On the other hand, the snow goose traverses in one flight a thousand leagues, a thousand li, resting in your garden. It preys on your fishes and turtles and pecks your millet. Though devoid of any of the cock's five virtues, yet you prize this bird for the sake of its scarcity. This being so, I shall fly far like a snow goose. Ancient Chinese parables. So basically, like, I don't know about that. Still a long ways off. But maybe that might have to happen. We don't try pacing ourselves though. Okay, so back to Guillaume and Guillaume. Interpretation. Trying to discover the joys of reconciliation, Guillaume de Boulogne inadvertently experienced the truth of the law of absence and presence. At the start of an affair, you need to heighten your presence in the eyes of the other. If you absent yourself too early, you may be forgotten. That's true. Like, you don't want to play this trick with someone you're just getting to know, especially when you're in that beginning phase where everything is new and great and you just want to spend all the time with that person. But once that shit starts wearing on you, that's when you gotta like, just you gotta absence makes the heart grow fond. You gotta find yourself something else to do for a while. Maybe go start a YouTube channel. But once your lover's emotions are engaged, the feeling of love has crystallized. Absence inflames and excites. Giving no reason for your absence excites even more. The other person assumes he or she is at fault. While you are away, the lover's imagination takes flight, and a stimulated imagination cannot help but make love grow stronger. Conversely, the more Guillaume pursued Guillaume, the less he loved her. She had become too present, too accessible, leaving no room for his imagination and fancy, so that his feelings were suffocating. When she finally stopped sending messengers, he was able to breathe again and to return to his plan, which, I mean, it sounds like he became sounds like he became the victim of his own plan there. He got what he wanted, though, by the sound of it, or something like that, like the inverse. Kind of weird. YouTube channels are a great place to start. No drama there. I mean, it is what you make of it, I guess. What withdraws, what becomes scarce, suddenly seems to deserve our respect and honor. What stays too long, inundating us with its presence, makes us disdain it. In the Middle Ages, ladies were constantly putting their knights through trials of love, sending them on some long and arduous quest, all to create a pattern of absence and presence. Indeed, had Guillaume not left his lady in the first place, she might have been forced to send him away, creating an absence of her own. Absence diminishes minor passions and inflames great ones. As the wind douses a candle and fans a fire. La Rochefoucauld. Yeah, I mean, I be knownst. I be knownst how this works. It's not much different, no. That's what I was saying earlier, Gohagen. You weren't here for that, but like they made a comment about how a lady never pursues her troubadour, and I'm like, it's still that way to this day, and the nature of this has not changed hundreds of years. This is a human condition. It's not a cultural thing. This is nature right here, and it's not much different. I have been through this exact rigmarole more than once. I don't even want to say many times, but more than once. Enough times to recognize this for exactly what it is. Been there, done that. Observance of the law. For many centuries, the Assyrians ruled Upper Asia with an iron fist. In the 8th century BC, however, the people of Medea, now northwestern Iran, revolted against them and finally broke free. Now the Medes had to establish a new government. Oh boy, this will be fun. Determined to avoid any form of despotism, they refused to give ultimate power to any one man or to establish a monarchy. That's basically the same thing. Without a leader, however, the country soon fell into chaos as a power vacuum does, and fractured into small kingdoms with village fighting against village. Yes, that's called post-collapse power vacuum destabilization. Like big empires fracture into smaller ones, big kingdoms become little tribes and start fighting itself. Well, it's a cultural thing. Women of other cultures tend to be more. Well, I mean that's a cultural thing. That's not an embracing nature thing because that behavior has to be enforced. Like if you look at the cultures who embrace that, that must be enforced because that's yeah, American women are all liberated and crap on the surface, but I mean that's a because I want to. Uh, it's not the right thing, but delayed gratification and all. I mean, there's to discuss the nature of men and women and how these things intertwine. Uh, I don't really have a whole lot to do today, so we could run this to be the longest 48 laws stream ever by having that discussion. But yeah, I mean, if you let someone who's historically never actually had to be the responsible party make all the authoritative decisions but not bear any responsibility for them, you are going to get what you have today, which is in general women acting like giant children with no responsibility. In the West, this is largely the case. It's not hashtag not all, but there's enough of it. It's just it's very detrimental and it's going to kill your society. I'm serious, it really is. But anyway, that's got not a lot to do with using absence to increase your respect and honor. We have fractured um, the Medea. In one such village lived a man named Diosis who began to make a name for himself for fair dealing and the ability to settle disputes. So he's a judge. He did this so successfully, in fact, that soon any legal conflict in the area was brought to him and his power increased because he is a trusted judge. Throughout the land, the law had fallen into disrepute. The judges were corrupt, except for this guy, apparently, and no one entrusted their cases to the courts anymore, resorting to violence instead. When news spread of Dionysius's wisdom, incorruptibility, and unshakable impartiality, Median villages far and wide turned to him to settle all manner of cases. This guy sounded like he needed an apprentice. Yeah, I mean I've used this phrase at least 3 times. The absence makes the heart go fonder. It is a cultural thing of women of other cultures. Oh, we already got through that. Got it unconditioned. All right, cool. I've read all this. There's nothing new here. This guy sounds like he needs to train some people. Soon he became the sole arbiter of justice in the land. That's a lot of work, dude, and a lot of responsibility. At the height of his power, Deiosis suddenly decided he had had enough. He would no longer sit in the chair of judgment. He would hear no more suits, settle no more disputes between brother and brother, village and village, complaining that he was spending so much time dealing with other people's problems that he had neglected his own affairs. Sounds like you need to train somebody. He retired. The country once again descended into chaos. With the sudden withdrawal of a powerful arbiter like Deiosis, crime increased, and contempt for the law was never greater. The Medes held a meeting of all the villages to decide how to get out of their predicament. We cannot continue to live in this country under these conditions, said one tribal leader. Let us appoint one of our number to rule so that we can live under orderly government rather than losing our homes altogether in the present chaos. So they're trying to get a monarchy. They're trying to get the monarchy back together. That's that's great. Let's do that again. And so, despite all that the Medes had suffered under the Assyrian despotism, they decided to set up a monarchy and name a king. They did it again. Did they not learn? And the man they most wanted to rule, of course, was the fair-minded Deiosis. He was hard to convince, for he wanted nothing more to do with the village's infighting and bickering. But the Medes begged and pleaded. Without him, the country had descended into a state of lawlessness. Deiosis finally agreed. Fuck these people, man. Y'all can't like find one person among you to be fair-minded and even-handed. Really, nobody. I'm it. Like this guy should have wrote like a Bill of Rights, a constitution of some kind, like a these are my decrees, keep them always, and you can govern yourself. Like a code of Hammurabi, maybe. Maybe there already was one of that at this time. You gotta write a system of laws restricting what the government can do. Yet, he also imposed conditions. This is the smart play to do. An enormous palace was to be constructed for him. He was to be provided with bodyguards, and a capital city was to be built from which he could rule. All of this was done, and Deiosis settled into his palace. In the center of the capital, the palace was surrounded by walls and completely inaccessible to ordinary people. Deiosis then established the terms of his rule. Admission to his presence was forbidden. Communication with the king was only possible through messengers. No one in the royal court could see him more than once a week, and then only by permission. Oh man, just a super isolation play. Deiosis ruled for 53 years, extended the Median Empire, and established the foundation for what would later be the Persian Empire under his great-great-grandson Cyrus. During Deiosis' reign, the people's respect for him gradually turned into a form of worship. He was not a mere mortal, they believed, but the son of a god. That's a lot. Do we think Deiosis? I think he was just like sick of people, and he's like, "Yep, I'll rule over all of you, but I'm not talking to any of you motherfuckers. I'm not listening to any of you motherfuckers. Write me a note, and I'll read it, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just throw it in the trash." and I'll let you know what I decide. Just leave me alone. And in turn, because they didn't ever get to deal with him, he became like a deity to them. Like, nah, he just don't want nothing to do with you stupid people. Dios equals God? Like, I did not know that. I don't speak uh, ancient languages either, like Latin or Greek or none of that. In fact, I really kind of only speak English, but as I'm learning Spanish, I'm getting better with that. Dias means day. Buenos dias, good morning. What is funny, Divinitas? Are you laughing at King Dios's approach to ruling over shitheads who he didn't want to deal with? Like, just locked himself away in his palace and dealt with people once a week. And none of you. Oh, my commentary is because I'm with him. Like, I get it. Like, he was like the judge, and he should have trained up some judges, but he didn't teach. Like, he didn't get no apprentices and be like, "This is how you come to the terms of fairness and decision making." I guess you can't. Can you teach bias? I think you can teach bias. I think a bias can be learned, but I also think it's hard to put aside a bias if you need to be fair. This is the perfect choice show. Aww. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. Like, just Dios míos. Ah, yeah. Yeah. This is a fun law. I'm enjoying this one. Let's read Robert's interpretation. Deiosis was a man of great ambition. He determined early on that the country needed a strong ruler and that he was the man for the job, so he had planned this the whole time. In a land plagued with anarchy, the most powerful man is the judge and arbiter. So Deiosis began his career by making his reputation as a man of impeccable fairness. At the height of his power as a judge, however, Deiosis realized the truth of the law of absence and presence. By serving so many clients, he had become too noticeable, too available, and had lost the respect he had earlier enjoyed. He became common, is what he's saying. People were taking his services for granted. I mean, you can't take your judge's services for granted. The only way to regain the veneration and power he wanted was to withdraw completely. He's sitting here thinking he's like fed up with dealing with these stupid people, and in reality, that's what he wants more than anything else. Interesting. I did not see that coming. The only way to regain the veneration and power he wanted was to withdraw completely and let the Medes taste what life was like without him. As he expected, they came begging for him to rule. Because, I mean, who else are you going to get? Apparently, you got nobody. And I did a really good job of not training my replacement or anyone to offload any of this burden for a reason. And I made it seem like it was a heavy burden. But in reality, this is all by design. Holy shit, this is a powerful play. Once Deosis had discovered the truth of this law, he carried it to its ultimate realization. In the palace his people had built for him, none could see him except a few courtiers, and those only rarely. As Herodotus wrote, there was a risk that if they saw him habitually, it might lead to jealousy and resentment, and plots would follow. But if nobody saw him, the legend would grow that he was a being of a different order from mere men. So it's the air of mystery, like the unknown. Ooh, spooky. I ain't scared of you, King. Oh, we got italicized words, y'all. A man said to Dervish, "Why do I not see you more often?" The Dervish replied, "Because the words, 'Why have you not been to see me?' are sweeter to my ears than the words, 'Why have you come again?'" Mullah Jami quoted in Idris Shah's Caravan of Dreams. I mean, that makes sense. Like, "Why have you not been to see me?" is much sweeter than, "What are you doing here again?" I'm with it. After the show is over, I'm gonna fuck off and not talk to any of you. That way you'll be missing me and we'll come to the next show. Keys to power. Everything in the world depends on absence and presence. A strong presence will draw power and attention to you. You shine more brightly than those around you. But a point is inevitably reached where too much presence creates the opposite effect. The more you are seen and heard from, the more your value degrades. You become a habit. No matter how hard you try to be different, subtly, without your knowing why, people respect you less and less. It's because you become common. You become ordinary. Nobody wonders about you because they have an oversaturation of you. This is a pretty easy concept, in my opinion, to understand. But, I mean, I guess if you're one of those people who always needs to be around people, you're probably not going to get this so easily. But if you can just go ahead and find something else to fuck off and do, people are going to wonder about you. Where are you? What are you doing? Why aren't you here? You're supposed to be here. We're used to you being here. I was fucking doing other shit. I had other shit to do. I do other shit. It's okay to do other shit. It really is. At the right moment, you must learn to withdraw yourself before they unconsciously push you away. It is a game of hide and seek. It's a silly game, but it is true. The truth of this law can most easily be appreciated in matters of love and seduction. Yes, we've been we have been announced this, and we have been said it 3 or 4 times now. The absence makes the heart grow fonder is definitely a phrase that is more applied to romantic relationships and seductive relationships than anything else. In the beginning stages of an affair, the lover's absence stimulates your imagination, forming a sort of aura around him or her. But this aura fades when you know too much, when your imagination no longer has room to roam. The loved one becomes a person like anyone else, a person whose presence is taken for granted. This is why the 17th century French courtesan Ninon de Lenclos advised constant feints at withdrawal from one's lover. Love never dies of starvation, she wrote, but often of indigestion. I mean, it bees like that. It bees like that. The moment you allow yourself to be treated like anyone else, it is too late. You are swallowed and digested. To prevent this, you need to starve the other person of your presence. Force their respect by threatening them with the possibility that they will lose you for good. Create a pattern of presence and absence. This seems a little extreme, but it does work. It does 100% work because people really can't stand to lose the one that's important to them. I know I've been in both positions and it sucks. I mean, it's not so bad when you're the one being sought after, but when you're the one who's dealing with the absence, it's kind of shit. Once you die, everything about you will seem different. You will be surrounded by an instant aura of respect. People will remember their criticisms of you, their arguments with you, and will be filled with regret and guilt. They are missing a presence that will never return. But you do not have to wait until you die. Thank goodness, because it's going to be really hard to use this to increase my power and honor and respect if I'm dead. It's going to be really awful to do that. By completely withdrawing for a while, you create a kind of death before death. And when you come back, it will be as if you had come back from the dead. Hello, y'all. I'm Lazarus. Nice to meet you. I'm back, bitches. An air of resurrection will cling to you, and people will be relieved at your return. This is how Diosis made himself king. Napoleon was recognizing the law of absence and presence when he said, "If I am often seen at the theater, people will cease to notice me." Today, in a world inundated with presence through the flood of images, the game of withdrawal is all the more powerful. Like, I think he means, oh, hi, good to meet ya. I think he means like social media and whatnot. Like, there is no like absence anymore because people just exist in our phones and shit like all the time. We rarely know when to withdraw anymore and nothing seems private. So we are awed by anyone who is able to disappear by choice. Novelist J. D. Salinger and Thomas Pynchon have created cult-like followings by knowing when to disappear. I mean, I think this book was written in the late 90s. I'm pretty sure 1998 was the year that this was published. So this was kind of right before the internet really took off. Like, it was starting to chug along, but it was not the commonplace thing that it is today. So imagine like how this would read written in 2023 versus written in 1998. Another, more everyday side of this law, but one that demonstrates its truth even further, is the law of scarcity in the science of economics. By withdrawing something from the market, you create instant value because it's unobtainium. Yes, and unobtainium is inherently valuable. People will want it more if they can't have it. I hope this is what Jenna Marbles is doing right now. I have faith she will be back. I fucking doubt it. I, I think Jenna Marbles is done, but I think she's not doing this as a power play. I think she is just like had her run and no longer has anything to say. Maybe if she finds a new voice, a new point to make, she might come back. Who knows? My bad. I'm not trying to be a dream killer. Like I'm with you, but like with her old content stream is gone, so she would have to find something new to reinvigorate her. Okay. This is where this one's gonna go. In 17th century Holland, the upper classes wanted to make the tulip more than just a beautiful flower. They wanted it to be a kind of status symbol, making the flowers scarce, indeed almost impossible to obtain. They sparked what was later called tulip mania. A single flower was now worth more than its weight in gold. That was really stupid of them, by the way. In our own century, similarly, the art dealer Joseph Duveen, who we just talked about like a couple days ago, insisted on making the paintings he sold as scarce and rare as possible. To keep their prices elevated and their status high, he bought up whole collections and stored them in his basement. The paintings he sold that the paintings that he sold became more than just paintings, they were fetish objects. Their value increased by their rarity. You can get all the pictures you want at $50,000 a piece. That's easy, he once said. But to get pictures at a quarter of a million apiece, that wants doing. Uh, I mean, yes. Tulips for the win. I mean, they almost destroyed tulips as a like the entire species by doing this stupid shit back in Holland. And they did have people who lost entire fortunes buying fucking tulips, and then their tulip crops died because tulips are a temperamental flower to fucking begin with. Like I don't know, the tulip mania of the 17th century. Uh, guy I watch on the YouTube's TFM went into a real in-depth story about how this basically destroyed like a lot of the economy at the time because of the just like super over manipulated price of tulips and the craze it caused for them. Because people are stupid, and you can't be doing this to stupid people. I mean, you can, but it's got terrible consequences. I watch TFM on Rumble. He's not on YouTube anymore. Sorry. You're gonna have to find him on alternative tech platforms because he not YouTube friendly. Image. The sun. It can only be appreciated by its absence. The longer the days of rain, the more the sun is craved. But too many hot days and the sun overwhelms. Learn to keep yourself obscure and make people demand your return. Extend the law of scarcity to your own skills. Make what you are offering the world rare and hard to find, and you instantly increase its value. Pause. I mean, Just think about the sun for a second. Like, it's there every day. And it's only during periods where you don't have it that you begin to remember, oh yeah, the sun, that's a beautiful thing. I love that. I live in a place where it goes gloomy for long periods of time, Michigan, especially in the wintertime. It sucks. This sounds similar to the law before last. I mean, a lot of these laws basically break down to six general subcategories, and they're subtly nuanced, but very similar. So that's why you're going to find references in a lot of these laws to a lot of stories that were referenced in previous laws because they're applicable in multiple situations because you rarely play the game of power with one law. Like that's why there are 48 of them. Nowadays, a dedicated worker is rare. I mean, a worker should only be as dedicated for their own benefit. I mean, as what they're dedicated to is beneficial to them. Now, finding like somebody with a work ethic is rare, which I mean, dedicated or not, like if you are going to work, you're in high demand and loyalty becomes less valuable to you if you have a high demand market skill because you want to bid up the best deal for yourself. Whereas, like, if you're easily replaceable, maybe loyalty as an employee is all you have because you don't have a set of skills that make you high value to the market, but you show up, you're dependable, you do your job, you don't complain too much. That's valuable in and of itself as well for a different reason, but it's not as valuable as somebody who's got the skill set to be like, oh well, I was offered X by company Y, so I'm gonna go take that deal and I'm gonna use that to parlay. Yeah, but I mean, if you don't give them a reason to hate you, you don't necessarily need loyalty from everybody. It's good to have, but understand that most people's loyalty is going to be to their self interest, and you have to play to that. And if their self interest becomes to the point where it's against your interest, then their loyalty is no use for you because you can't afford it. Just facts. Some will never learn, no matter how many times it bites them in the ass. I mean, there's uh, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to knowing how to operate with people. There always comes a moment when those in power overstay their welcome. We have grown tired of them. We're talking to you, fucking Joe Biden. Lost respect for them. I mean, we didn't have any of that to begin with. We see them as no different from the rest of mankind, which is to say that we see them as rather worse, since we inevitably compare their current status in our eyes to their former one. There is an art to knowing when to retire. Yeah, Congress, federal government, all of you, if it is done right, you regain the respect you had lost. I mean, most of you ain't going to do that, but and retain a part of your power. But some of you I might respect if you just quit now. Hey, what do we got? We got wrench swingings going on here. Dad, dang it. Dang it, Squabbles. See, this is why I don't just randomly give out wrenches because people start swinging them around. Do I need to take it away, Squabbles? I can do that. I can do that. They historically lose their heads. I mean, it. Yeah, you right. You're right, dude. That's the way to deal with this problem. We're gonna make everybody blue and gay. There, now he can't do that to you no more. Do not moderate my moderators. Damn it. Thank you, Divinity. You is a fair arbiter of justice. We're gonna make you the judge. Judge Divinita. The greatest ruler of the 16th century was Charles V, King of Spain. Habsburg Emperor, he governed an empire that at one point included much of Europe and the New World. Yet at the height of his power in 1557, he retired to the monastery of Yuste. All of Europe was captivated by his sudden withdrawal. People who had hated and feared him suddenly called him Graves because he's gone. And and he came to be seen as a saint. In more recent times, the film actress Greta Garbo, what a name, you Garbo, Greta, was never more admired than when she retired in 1941. For some, her absence came too soon. She was in her mid-30s, but she wisely preferred to leave on her own terms rather than waiting for the wall to hit and her audience to grow tired of her because she hit the wall. She quit in her mid-30s when she was still cute. That's a smart play. With great power comes nepotism. You not wrong. I put the wall in there myself. Sorry about that insert, but she definitely was gonna hit that wall. She was like, "I'm in my mid-30s. I'm still hot. I'm still at the pinnacle. I'm just gonna give it up now before I become an old hag." You don't want to see me turn into an old hag on screen. That's not cool. Well played, Greta. That's not a Garbo thing at all. Make yourself too available, and the aura of power you have created around yourself will wear away. Turn the game around, make yourself less accessible, and you increase the value of your presence. Wait a minute. Of course you will. Authority. Use absence to create respect and esteem. This is a reoccurring theme, y'all. If presence diminishes fame, absence augments it. A man who, when absent, is regarded as a lion becomes, when present, something common and ridiculous. Talents lose their luster if we become too familiar with them. This entire law on Friday here, the fourth one I've done this week, is telling me to go back to doing these once a week. That's exactly what this stupid law is saying. Like, we've heard enough out of you, Mr. Hideous. If you want people to actually show up to this shit, make it more rare, then they will want to come. That's it. That's what I'm taking away from this law is I need to do less of these, not more. Talents lose their luster if we become too familiar with them, for the outer shell of the mind is more readily seen than the rich inner kernel. Even the outstanding genius makes use of retirement so that men may honor him and so that the yearning aroused by his absence may cause him to be esteemed. Balthasar Gracian. I like that guy. He says a lot of cool shit. So, yeah, the common theme is don't be common. The common theme is be rare, be special. Make people want you to come back. I wanted to coom as soon as I saw Divinity in chat. Oh, wait. Hey! That's inappropriate. I'm with it. It's a wench party. I mean, wrench party. I mean, you're all fags. I'm going to fire every single one of you. How about that? And nobody can have a wrench. And I'll hit you all with my wrench. How about that? I'm just kidding. I don't really care. Y'all, my peeps. Reversal, reversal, reversal. This law only applies once a certain level of power has been attained. This is the don't do this shit too early argument right here. The need to withdraw only comes after you have established your presence. However, if you do remain aloof and mysterious, being regularly withdrawn, but not for extended periods of time, you can actually get this similar effect. I don't know if they're going to touch on that or not, but leave too early and you do not increase your respect, you are simply forgotten. When you are first entering onto the world stage, create an image that is recognizable, reproducible, and is seen everywhere. Get your picture taken. Until that status is attained, absence is dangerous. Instead of fanning the flames, it will extinguish them. I mean, just use selected absence. Like, don't be completely absent. Just don't always be around. Be aloof. Be here and there. Oh shit, cheers. Damn, we got to another one, y'all. In love and seduction, similarly, absence is only effective once you have surrounded the other with your image, been seen by him or her everywhere. Everything must remind your lover of your presence, so that when you do choose to be away, the lover will always be thinking of you, will always be seeing you in his or her mind's eye. Because if they're not seeing you in there, they're going to be seeing someone else in there. That's the implication here that they don't mention. You could be forgotten and you could be replaced. That's what I thought was going to happen to old Guillerme or whatever his name was earlier for being the stupid jerk trying to pick the fight with his lady Guillermo. Remember, in the beginning, make yourself not scarce, but omnipresent. Only what is seen, appreciated, and loved will be missed in its absence. Congratulations, y'all. We did it. Did someone say party? Hello, Pie. You missed the show, kinda. It's kinda over now. That is the end of Law 16. I can do a brief summary for you. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and don't be common, be outstanding. And by that I mean be like cake. Don't be around all the time. Pop in, remind everybody that you still exist and that they still love you. And then the show is over and you're off to your next place to be a rare treasured gem. I can apparently make you a mod if you like. I don't know how you can do that, except for you just start removing people's shit. I'm gonna unmod you if you do it again. You're fired. You're fired, fired. So, anyone got any good absence makes the heart grow fonder stories? I've told mine. I mean, you can't miss what you never knew, and you also can't miss what never left. I do think this entire law was to remind me that I used to do this show once a week, and it was better that way. Maybe not once a week is better. Maybe I do 2 or 3 a week, but doing 5, like it seems like an oversaturation. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, I haven't even done the 5th one this week. I think I'm gonna do that same time tomorrow, like noon tomorrow. I've been listening and can refer to my book. I forgot what grilled cheese sandwich, and when I remembered, it was the best sandwich ever. I mean, it's a good sandwich, like a grilled cheese. It's even better if you grill cheese with like meat on it, like a meat and cheese sandwich with the grilling. Delicious. A ham, or depending on the kind of cheese, maybe a turkey, roast beef. Pretty much any grilled cheese you can have, you can make better with some type of meat. Fried bologna. Ah. So anyway, I got another one of these to do tomorrow to accomplish the 5 in a week. Law 17 is keep others in suspended terror, cultivate an air of unpredictability. That's the chaos theory. That is grilled turkey and pepper jack. See, Divinity making me hungry. It's a good thing the show is over. Every time I used to leave, the dog would get excited. When I came back home, my current dog Tico's not like that at all. He might be broken. Stop saying meat. Meat. You don't like meat, Cool Frog? What are you, some sort of vegan? Beta! You don't like meat? I'm getting ready to disappear from work for a few months and suddenly everyone will miss me. Maybe it's terror they're feeling. I mean, going on vacation and then when you get back from your vacation, everyone will be like, "Oh, great, Kate, good to see you again. Glad you're back." And then after a few days of being back, you'll just be back to being regular old Pie again. Oh, hello, Pie. Good to see you again, Pie. No excitement here because we've been seeing you for 3 days now. That's how this law works. You saying it is wrong. Meat? You don't like meat? Don't talk about my meat. All right, fine. I won't say meat. Jeez, I didn't know the world had to fucking uh, do what Cool Frog said because Cool Frog was the boss of it. But anywho, y'all, I don't know if any of you follow my Rumble channel and my recent doings of the Saturday morning cartoons, which is not what you would think it is, but I am going to not do that show tomorrow. So sorry if this is a giant disappointment to anybody. There's only like 2 or 3 people who actually watch it. I will be doing back here tomorrow at noon again. Uh, Law 17. I will keep you all in suspended terror until then. Uh, Maybe I'll change the time just to be unpredictable. Who knows? But thank you all for coming and participating. This one was fun. Meet you there. Meet you there, squabbles. Uh, Love you guys. Thanks for coming. See you tomorrow if I don't see you before then.